Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Sports Daily. Jacob Albrock, Paul Savage here. It's Hawaiian Shirt Wednesday. We always like the celebrations. We got them in different styles. It's cold outside, warmer today than it has been, but we're still celebrating one way or the other here.
That's right. Yeah, it's the spirit. It's the spirit. It's not the temperature.
Glad to have Max in this week for Jad the rest of the way. We're going to have some fun stuff coming for you this week. We got fun stuff coming today. Shreyas Laddha, our KU Insider.
Yeah.
Just regular weekly visit. It'll move back from its regularly scheduled time, though. That visit coming at about 10:30. So we'll slide that back a little bit. Coming up at 10 o'clock, Wichita State Athletic Director Kevin Saal joins. It's not just a KU and a Wichita State game night, which, of course, it is for college basketball. Kevin Saal, I want to pick his brain. He sent a letter to fans about, the changing landscape of college athletics. We had broached this topic, among other things, a couple of weeks ago, maybe even a month ago. But now he's put that out there publicly. So I want to dig into that a little bit and check it all out and get to the bottom of what this looks like for Wichita State. We've got a signing day today, Paul, that we will keep our eye on mostly because Lincoln, who you might remember out of Northwest Kansas, was committed to Kansas State. There's been a lot of buzz that he may flip to Oregon today. So we're going to keep an eye on that. A tight end, very talented, one of the best tight ends in the country. So that happens, I want to say, after we get off the air around 11:30 or 12:30, time zone thing out there. But we will keep our eye on that and let you know if anything happens before we get to that point. We'll continue to get you ready for a Chiefs weekend. We will look at the CFP rankings and chatterings and all of those things as well. Paul, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing, big boy? Happy Hawaiian Shirt Wednesday, by the way.
Right. That's right. Morning's a little thrown off. You had to go give a little blood, do a little blood work. So just trying to get caught back up on life, Paul.
I got you.
We got we got a lot going on here.
Well,
it's not you might not know this by our wardrobe, but we got a lot of other more important and serious things to take care of sometimes on the show. All right, Paul. CFP's out. Okay.
Yep.
We've got it inbound. And not a lot of surprises. It goes Oregon, Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame at the top. That basically takes care of your major conference one-loss teams, with the exception of SMU, who you find down at number 8 at 11-1, who would actually be the number 3 seed if things ended today. They've got a big game against Clemson coming up. So we've got that. We have Georgia with 2 losses. Tennessee with 2 losses, and right now Bama with 3 losses, down at 11 coming out of the SEC. It would make it if we started this thing today. You've got Ohio State in there with their second loss. They're still in at number 6. There will be a lot of resume dissecting as we make our way through this thing, Paul. The biggest question for us around here is the Big 12 almost certainly, there's really no way around it, we'll have one team in this thing, and it'll be the winner of Arizona State, Iowa State on Saturday. They're both not going to get in here. I know there will be hand-wringing about that. We knew this was a possibility this year because of the fact that the league is A, really strong top to bottom, with the exception probably of Oklahoma State this year. And B, there wasn't that elite team that sort of ran away with this thing. Certainly Kansas played spoiler to a lot of that when they got on their run late in the year. But as much of a Big 12 homer and supporter and everything that I am, I don't think any of this is egregious. I would have loved to see Colorado get in there. BYU's going to have, at the end of the day, or Iowa State, if they both sit there, really either Arizona State, BYU, or Iowa State's going to sit there with 10 losses. Only one of the, 10 wins. 2 of those will only have 10 wins. And they're going to have to sit there and look at teams with 3 losses or whatever, get in ahead of them. But and we talked about this yesterday. Really the only thing that bothers me a little bit, and it may not even hold true, who knows, is that Indiana gets in. Indiana has not beaten anybody. They haven't played anybody. They played one quality game and got beat by 3 touchdowns. And so, great story, but is that really one of the best teams? Did they really earn it? And I know it's not their fault. The Big Ten just wasn't very good outside of the top 4 this year. But, if we're really looking at this thing and you have to earn it, either you have to earn it or you just have to win a bunch of games and it doesn't really matter who you play. And so that one will be the toughest pill to swallow probably. And Indiana only has 1 loss. I get it, but they haven't beaten anybody. So what did you think of the CFP? I think all in all, Paul, most of this is just fine.
Well, my first thought obviously went to the Big 12 because that's where our teams are, the Big 12. Sure. And the perception is everything, Jacob. You know that. You're in the media business. Perception is everything, isn't it? And when you look at like the SEC and those teams, let's say they all start beating each other up, which they've sort of beat themselves up, and yet they're still getting 3 teams into the tournament. You think to yourself, well, why is not the Big 12 getting the same courtesy? Because the Big 12 is a darn good conference. The problem is there's nobody that is dominating that conference. There is nobody that is able to step out, maybe go with one loss, maybe undefeated, maybe is probably what it would take. And if you go with 1 loss or you're undefeated, then you can look at that conference and say, well, that's a good conference. Look at who's leading that conference. Well, the rest of those guys are pretty darn good, though. They're all pretty good. But the problem is this conference beat each other up. You made a comment, and I think I took it like this. You correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. You made a comment that this is a good conference, all but maybe Oklahoma State. On any and I think what you were saying to me was, I'm reading between the lines, is that on any given Saturday, any team in the Big 12 other than Oklahoma State can beat any other team in the Big 12. I think that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, it is.
And therein lies the problem of perception. And we live in a world,
but there are, and this is why this is always going to be such a challenge. Like, let's be realist here. What happened with Kansas this year? Kansas was one of the most talented teams in the league, right? I don't think anybody would question that.
That's right.
They came out of the gates and played very poorly. They lost a lot of games they shouldn't have lost. They had a bad record. And then they got things on track. And once they got things on track, they came in and they beat 3 straight ranked teams. Didn't surprise anybody that watches the Big 12 that happened. I mean, legitimately, that doesn't surprise anybody.
Didn't surprise us all.
But the problem is, the perception is that Kansas didn't even make a bowl game. So when you look at the Big 12 resumes, you're going to see losses to a team that didn't even make a bowl game, right? Around, across the board there.
Oh, that's right.
So that's where it gets really challenging. Even though we know Kansas was much better than their record and capable of beating anybody in the conference, you can't take that into consideration when you're trying to stack these. The fact is they didn't win their games. And so that makes it, that makes it hard on, the Big 12 resumes. Whereas like Alabama, let's say, for instance, and Alabama, we'll hear all about it, right? Alabama with 3 losses, in there at 11. If SMU loses, do they fall below Alabama, who'd have 3 losses and didn't have to play a game this week? And that's the problem. They don't have to play these games. But if you go and look at what Alabama's done, they lost to Vanderbilt on the road, they lost to Tennessee on the road, and they lost to Oklahoma on the road. But they have wins, Paul, against Georgia, against South Carolina, who's inside the top 20 of the CFP, against Missouri, who's right there inside the CFP. They have a bunch of quality wins. They did not have a terrible non-conference schedule. They played, South Florida and Wisconsin, and they had some cupcakes. But their resume will, when you stack it to SMU, and SMU doesn't have a bad resume, by the way, either. I know you want to talk about SMU, and we will as we make our way through this discussion in the next segment. But SMU, they only lost to BYU. That's their only loss. And they don't have a ton of quality wins is the problem. They tried. It's not their fault. They tried to schedule well. It's just that the league and it's kind of like Indiana. They were let down by their schedule. Now they'll have a chance to earn it, right? You go play Clemson, you beat Clemson, you're in.
And that'll be Clemson first. Yeah,
and that'll become, and that would become your best win of the year and all those things. So at least they have the chance to earn it. And that's my biggest point in all of this. Before we, really dive deep on it, teams now have a chance to earn it. Paul, last year, you got to go all the way back in history to last year. We had an unbeaten ACC team not make a 4-team playoff in Florida State. And the reason was because their quarterback got hurt. Like, that was the stupidity we were dealing with and the nonsense that we were dealing with just 1 year ago. Okay? At least. And we will always, always, always have these debates, just like we do in the NCAA basketball tournament about teams 68 through 70 of who should get in. Doesn't matter what number you pick.
Yep.
Okay, doesn't matter what number you pick.
Yeah.
But the beauty of why I think this system will work is because you get the conference champions in. You can earn your way in regardless. If you win your league, you're going to get in this thing.
Right.
And that is the most important thing. And then you also guarantee almost the spot for that one team, and there's usually one or two that's not in one of the power leagues, that's really good, that would never have a chance. We finally took Cincinnati not losing a game for 2 years to get their chance in that. And that's what we'll see with Boise most likely this year. You've got both of those things allowed. Whatever else happens with the at-larges, I'm far more willing to stomach that, Paul, than a situation like we had with Florida State last year, or those years where you felt like the Big 12 had some really good teams that would never get the chance to get in there and mix it up with an SEC team when it mattered the most, because perception's everything. We've at least made it through that part, Paul, and gotten to this point where conference champions are represented in this playoff, which was fundamentally always has been my biggest issue. Now we can get on the field and prove it. Does the best team win the conference every year? Of course not. I mean, it is what it is, but at least they earned it, right? They earned their spot. You win your league, you've earned a spot. We've never had that before, and that's a good thing.
Right. From top to bottom, this is the Big 12, what we're talking about. And you've given me kind of a perception of this whole thing that is unique, and I like it. And I agree with 99% of exactly what you said. And yet, on the other hand, it's going to come back and kind of bite the Big 12 in the butt, because it's going to be, beating up on each other has not been good. And by the way, your point about Kansas, I hadn't even really considered that. Kansas, because we're so close to it. We're close to the situation. We follow the situation. We understand week to week with the University of Kansas. Most of the nation doesn't do that. They look at Kansas and they think, well, that's not that good a team. They're on a little roll, but that's, that team, what about them? I mean, look at the games they lost in the first half. That's what most of America thinks. Not you and I, not if you're a football fan in Kansas, not even if you're a K-State fan. You got to give them, K-State kids and fans give University of Kansas their due on what they've done in the last half of this season. But with that being said, it's still perception. And that's part of the problem. The perception of the Big 12 is that it's not a strong conference. You and I know better. I wouldn't want to play the top 9 teams in this particular league of the Big 12 couldn't match up pretty darn well with the Big 10 or the SEC. Oh, they could. I think they would. But it's kind of interesting. And by the way, when you look at the Big 12, I think they're going to show well in the tournament. And if I might,
whichever representative, there's only going to be one.
You got a Penn State right now, tentatively speaking, it looks like it's Penn State. Penn State, whoever the Big 12 representative is, whether it's Arizona State or Iowa State, they're going to play Penn State. Get by Penn State. And Penn State isn't good as Ohio State. I watched some of the Ohio State Penn State game. Penn State's good, but they're not Ohio State. And with that being said, let's say the Big 12 champion gets by Penn State. Well, the next round's against Boise State. I don't really know, and I can't say how good Boise State is because, Jacob, I haven't had the chance to watch them. I have not found them on TV at a time that I'm watching football. I have not seen them play, so I don't know. But I do know this. Most teams in those kind of conferences are good football teams. Are they SEC quality? Are they Big 10 quality? Are they Big 12 quality? No. The answer would be no. And most of the time, the answer is no, not based on speed, but based upon physicality up front. That's just the facts, ma'am. I'm sorry, but that is the way it works. So with that being said, if the Big 12 representatives gets by Penn State, as we now speak, and then takes on Boise, you're kind of like in the semifinals, if you get my drift. I mean, you could be a Big 12 champion in the way this thing is setting up right now, and you're going to play Boise State in the second round. You're going to end up in the semis for a chance to play to get into the finals. I mean, I'll tell you what, this
if
whole
that's
thing,
the bracket. Yeah, look, I think
if that's the bracket.
I like
that's what we
Arizona
have to
State.
work
I like Arizona State's prospects. They both got fine prospects.
with. Why don't
Look,
they both? I
look at it. I kind of look at it this way. As I look at the standings, would Oregon finish at the top of the Big 12 this year? I think they would. Would Texas, which is, of course, the joke, right? Texas couldn't win the Big 12, and now they go to the SEC and they're playing in the title game. A lot of people having fun with that. But yes, Texas likely would have won the Big 12 this year, right? Or finished at the top. Penn State probably gets a little more debatable, but I think they're at least as good as anybody the Big 12 did. Notre Dame, probably the same. Georgia, probably the same. Ohio State, probably the same. Tennessee, probably the same. So that top 7, I think, if we're being honest, we could say, yeah, that team probably would have had a real good shot, if not have won the Big 12 this year. And then you get into SMU, Indiana, Boise State, Alabama, Miami, Ole Miss. South. Now we're like, okay, and that's what, like, if you've got a gripe against it, and again, we're never going to have equitable schedules or anything, but I could easily make a case that the Big 12 could slide in right there where SMU is, regardless of law. So at this point, you'd either put Iowa State or Arizona State there. Like, you don't have that strong a case with me to tell me definitively that Indiana, Boise State, Alabama, Miami, Ole Miss, and South Carolina are all better than Arizona State and Iowa State. That's where I would slot them. Is it egregious? No. Would those all be coin flip kind of games? Sure, they would. I think they would. But, at some point, these power leagues need to be respected because, like, again, I use the Big Ten as an example all the time. The Big Ten, Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, and I'll even concede to say Indiana, good teams this year, great teams this year.
All right.
Everybody else, not. That league as a whole was not good this year. You had a good top 4, and look, Illinois had a really nice year. Credit to them. They beat Kansas. Good for them. Iowa, okay, fine, at 8-4.
Minnesota, not like good as we usually expect. Yeah,
these teams weren't that good.
No.
Not any better than what the Big 12 or anybody else was running out. And the problem comes when you get to the bottom of the league, right? Purdue, Maryland, Northwestern, Wisconsin, UCLA. Like, it just wasn't as strong this year as it is in a lot of years. And what you had was the top 4 teams beating up on the bottom of the league. So, okay, fine. But that you can't say that and then not give the Big 12 any credit. But again, this isn't like a complaint about the Big 12's representation for me this year. Your best teams lost 2 games. We knew this was a very likely possibility. We could see it coming before they ever took a snap this year. Any team that this league looks really close, and it's hard to imagine. I mean, how many times did we say we just don't see a team making it through unscathed? And really, the likelihood of a team making it through with just 1 loss seemed very low. What we thought would happen has happened, right? It's happened. It's exactly what we thought would happen.
That's right.
So do they deserve two teams? I'm not sure that I can make a hard yes on that, Paul. I don't know that I could say, because somebody's going to lose that third game. A 3-loss Big 12 team this year, I don't think is a top 12 team.
Go back to your Penn State example. You just mentioned Penn State about 30 or 45 seconds ago. You're exactly right. Penn State is a good football team. We've seen them play numerous times. I've seen them play numerous times throughout the course of the year. That's a good football team.
Yeah.
I think Penn State is a better football team than BYU. If I could match them up with a team.
Yes.
If I could match them up with a team in the Big 12 that I think is sort of similar, and I'm just saying that off of the observation of a couple of football games I watched, I'd say they're similar to BYU in what they do and what they try to get across to, play offense, defense. And which one is better, BYU or Penn State? I want to say BYU because it's a Big 12 team, but I can't say that. I think Penn State is a better team. So now you've got Penn State as the third, and you could almost even see 4 teams from the Big 10 going into the tournament. I get that, but you would take Penn State over BYU, which is still, in my opinion, probably, is it still the second, at least the third best team in the Big 12, right? So with that being said, I think, I can see it. I can see the way this sets up. My surprise is that Arizona State is that team, is possibly that team. I didn't see that coming. I thought at the beginning of this year, I thought Arizona was going to be better than Arizona State. How wrong was I on that one? Because I was really wrong.
Well,
on the other hand, I had Utah winning the Big 12 in the first year.
They lost their quarterback, right?
But I mean, those are the things that happen.
We knew this was coming. We knew it was coming with the Big 12. We knew it was. And exactly what we thought would happen has happened. It shouldn't surprise us. One of the you sent me this and I hadn't seen it. So Iowa State and SMU's ADs got into a little tit for tat. We'll get to that next. So stick with us. Want to tell you the IHOP hotline is open here in hour number 1. 869-1240. IHOP, the official breakfast partner of Xbox, celebrating with exclusive Xbox merchandise, games, reward offers for loyalty members. Glad to be here with you. We'll give away some HTO a little later in the show. We got all kinds of stuff. Wichita State Athletic Director Kevin Saal joining us at the top of the next hour. Shreyas Laddha joining us in hour number 2, our KU Insider as well. Keep it here. It's all Brockton Savage. Happy Wine Shirt Wednesday to you, everybody. We'll be right back.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch. 12 News is everywhere, bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSPW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. Here, Sports Daily. Glad to be with you. Tell you about Crestview Country Club right now as we are ready to finish up the fall. So, Paul, I'm thinking about upgrading my old golf clubs. I've been using them for a long time. Some of them we're putting on about 20 years. So I'm trying to upgrade. So yesterday, I go in. They got a great golf pro there, Trent. He's trying to size me up. There's a simulator there inside the clubhouse. He hit some balls off the simulator. He's got a bunch of things working for me. He's got a set built. I'll go try him out, do it. All of that, I would have never thought that was available. It was great. It was great.
A pro shop's worth their weight in gold. By the way,
and it's not just that, like the weather's turning and whatever. And as much as anything else, just a reminder that they've got those simulators. They got 2 of them. Yeah. You can hit balls. You can play courses all over the country. It does all the things, the readings. So a really cool feature. I don't think we've talked about they at Crestview. So if you're a serious golfer, or if you're somebody who likes to enjoy those things as the weather turns cold, give Crestview a call. Ask them about some of their membership options. There's all kinds of membership options. It's not just one shoe fits all. So give them a call. Tell them we sent you support from Sports Daily. We appreciate their support. So get out there, check it out. All right, Paul. Iowa State, SMU, ADs have got a little beef. You got Iowa State's AD lobbing grenades that SMU's resume is not very good. I think SMU's resume is just fine, quite frankly. I think that conference was a little bit better than we thought. Now, they didn't end up playing those top teams, but they scheduled out a conference pretty well. They have been, a part of this that we never really talk about is, and this is something that matters and style points matter. Paul, they've been beating people pretty handily.
Yes.
For the most part here. And I think that matters too. Their loss is to a 10-win BYU team. So like that's early in the year too, when BYU was really playing well, quite frankly. So I don't have any issue with SMU's resume. I appreciate, Iowa State getting out there and trying to defend the league and do all those things. But I don't think Iowa State's resume is better than SMU's resume.
Everything you've said is exactly correct. SMU has not played at least 4 of the top AAC or ACC teams. They didn't play Clemson, Syracuse, Georgia Tech, or Miami. And I think those 4, other than SMU, you'd have to say are the cream of the crop. So you didn't play any of those. I get that. And Iowa State AD, a guy by the name of Jamie Pollard, I don't know him. I wouldn't even know him if I saw him on TV, I don't believe. But he made an interesting comment that I've never heard before. He said, quote, "Looks like your lawn may be artificial." He wrote that directly to SMU's athletic.
Yeah, they've got to have a relationship, because that's a weird thing to do.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? And I don't know that helps anybody's cause. I mean, it just, it's one of those things where
it doesn't matter. Yeah,
it doesn't matter. But here's the one thing about SMU, and I wanted to point out a couple of things. And you're a Texas guy. You understand about what I'm about to say, and that is that SMU for the last 40 years has been running NIL. I mean, SMU has been an NIL team since the 80s, since they put those great runs back together with Eric Dickinson and all. You remember those great teams? Sure. I know you do.
Before the death penalty, yeah.
Yeah, before the death penalty. They ended up with the death penalty because basically they were paying everybody NIL money. Before NIL was even, a thing. And here's the one thing that I'll say about SMU is, and I don't know if I mentioned this on our show at one point. I hope I did. I think I might have, because I've been thinking it for years and years. I wanted SMU to be taken into the original group of Texas teams that came into the Big 8. I wanted SMU to somehow be that. I know that the Dallas market was really important. I know there's no big state school or anything like that in the city of Dallas, which would attract attention. But SMU is the next best thing. It's not a big school. This, I know, because of your Texas relationship, is that SMU is a school of about 12,000. It's not like there's, tons and tons. It's not like University of Texas, 60,000 folks on campus. But you know what SMU does have? Money. You know what they also have? Alumni that have money. You know what else they have? Guys that want to win national championships and are willing to put their money where their mouth is. SMU is a beast in the weight.
Yeah.
A monster in the weight. It's coming. We're starting to see it now. We're starting to see those players. I watched SMU 2 or 3 times in the last half of the season because they really were getting my attention. So I said, here's SMU on TV. I got to watch a little bit of it. Let me see this. They've got athletes. They've got physical athletes. They got fast athletes. They got all the things you need. And this is a team that I'm telling you right now, if you think this is just a one and done on a run in the ACC, you're crazy. SMU is going to be one of those teams that is going to have a ton of money to spend on players. Yeah. Players are going to go there. It's in Dallas. How good is that? And I'm just telling you right now, SMU, and you heard it on this show from Paul Savage and Jacob Albrock, in the future, SMU is going to be a player.
Well, Paul, the future's now. They're a player right now. There's not
they're
the future.
A player right now. Yeah, that's right. There you go.
It was smart of the ACC to see this because, yeah, even if they don't fit they because of the money, and they have lots of it, have the opportunity to put themselves in a good position in the modern world of college athletics. And that's going to be, even if it's not, them drawing 60,000 people to their home games, doesn't really matter because it lifts the profile of the league. It lifts the profile of the league right now that SMU is clearly in this title picture and would be either way. So that's good for the league, but their resume is good. And look, Iowa State, SMU, all these teams that are kind of right there. Guess what both of those teams have the opportunity to do this weekend?
Win
a game to get into the playoff.
To advance. That is correct.
That's, again, I go back to what we were talking about in the last segment. The fact that we did not have that before is asinine. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter when we're going to fine-tooth comb all of these little details. If you win your league, you're in. So at the end of the day, the other stuff that we'll debate about because it's fun, I get it. At the end of the day, nobody really gets screwed in this because if you win your league, you're in. Right? There are no more Florida States. Ken makes a joke. He says SMU's had NIL experience for a lot of years. That's correct. Right. That's right. They've been so have a lot of schools, but yes, that's a well played joke. Rick says this is going to happen every year, by the way, and that the SEC and the Big Ten are going to dominate it. Of course they are. Rick, they have more money. They got bigger programs. Most years they'll deserve it. They'll be at a higher profile. And if we're being honest, they probably deserve the most teams most years. Does that mean they need 4 this year? Probably not, in my opinion. I don't think Indiana should get in. They didn't win any big games. But again, that's semantics. That's the end of the playoff. So at the end of the day, win your league and you're in. Like, if we're the Big 12 and we think we're getting screwed by only getting one team in, okay, I get it. But our league's winner will get in. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Is it going to be egregious if the loser of Saturday's Big 12 championship game does not get into the playoff? I would say no. It's not egregious. And it's likely. And it is what it is in a league that was, it was highly competitive. But Paul, we have to be honest. It was highly competitive because it's not just because there weren't really any really bad teams outside of Oklahoma State. At the end of the day, there weren't any elite teams that were able to run it through. And that's just the bottom line. And I hate it and it sucks and I don't like it one bit, but it is what it is. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't matter. Anybody's going to make their case when you start arguing those teams outside of the top 7 or so this year. Like, you can try hard enough, you can make the case for every single one of them. It's going to happen most years. Mm-hmm. Win your league and you're in. Let's start with the good and not the bad. The good is if you win your league, you're in. Period. Mm-hmm. And that's what we've never had in college football, and that's why this is going to be the greatest experience college football fans have ever had, as collectively, right? It'll be fun. This last week of the season meant more than it ever has before, and that's just going to keep getting better. Love it.
The interesting about the ACC, though, I'm going to ask you a question, though, because you look at the ACC and you think to yourself, and I think SMU is going to be one of those, let's say 3 to 4 teams, SMU, Clemson, Miami, and then pick out whoever it's going to be. It could be anybody that would join that foursome at the top of the SEC on a year in and year out basis. But I'm having a hard time figuring out who's going to be the 4 teams that are always going to be those 4 teams, those teams that are always going to compete in the Big 12. I don't know who it's going to be, because you can say Colorado will probably be one, but we can say that as long as Deion's there.
Nah, I need to see Colorado without their 2, top 15 draft picks.
But that's all has to do with Deion.
Oh, sure it does. Look, Deion's the most important thing. I'm just saying, like, Colorado's got it. They're you want to talk about big holes to fill. They've got as many of them as anybody does.
Well, I'm just saying that I don't know who it's going to be. I know
K-State will be your leader in the clubhouse next year.
Well,
almost certain, unless there's catastrophe in the transfer portal. All these young players for K-State will be back. K-State will be your favorite next year.
Right.
Unless there's some chaos with the portal. They're coming back. They run that back. They're going to be your favorite next year.
Right. Hey, by the way, I've never told you this. I don't think I've ever told you this. When I was playing, I took a visit to SMU. I went on a weekend trip down there.
Yeah, how'd that go? You don't see now. I don't want to stereotype here, Paul.
Right.
Well, for the SMU crowd that I know, it kind of like oil and vinegar there. I don't know that you'd mesh and vibe with the scene down there.
We went to more strip clubs than any other visit I went to at any other college.
That's incredible.
and my host, you get a host. I mean, when you have a visit set up, you walk onto campus, the host is always there waiting for you. They get a player host, free food outside the dorm and all, you get some money to go entertain them and all. So the guy, you remember Cheers? You remember Cheers?
Yep.
Norm would walk in and the whole bar would go, Norm. And when we went to about 4 strip clubs and we'd walk in and the crowd would go, like I'm just going to say, George. And I'd say, well, this guy's been here before. And that was my entertainment at SMU, by the way.
There you go. Is that shots fired? I don't know what that is. It's story time with Paul Savage. I love it. I'm here for it. 869-1240 is the number to call. Let's give away some HTO on the way out. You can win a free iced tea, sweet or unsweet, a free rain coffee, iced or hot, one of each of those. And all you got to do right now is text the keyword T to the short code 20357. That's T to 20357. Those 2 gifts will be good for either Wichita location or in Derby. You can enter once per day. Good luck, everybody. Message and data rates apply. We'll be back. More Sports Daily right after this.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch. 12 News is everywhere, bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSPW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into the jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20-plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems
Why are they hiding it?
and real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is Sports Daily here. Thanks to Prairie Fire Coffee for keeping us fueled up each and every morning on KFH and across the Odyssey family. A couple of baseball things I want to quickly ask you about, Paul. The golden bat rule. Have you seen this? But Rob Manfred is proposing some basic look at some point a team can, one time a game, it's essentially the golden bat. You can basically call up any hitter you want at one point during the game. Each team can do it one time. Any situation, you call up one hitter. What I would say, as you stew on that for a minute, that I don't think I like it. I don't want to say that I hate it, because I think the changes that have been made recently are all very good for the game and have improved the game and made the game a better experience for the fans. Would I like to see that sort of a massive seismic shift? I don't think so. But I don't want to sit here and say until I see it that I would hate it, because maybe I'd like it when push comes to shove. I don't know.
Well, I can tell you. The answer is obviously would be a great rule change. Let me tell you why. In football, a coach could have put a player in for one play for a specialty situation, can't he? In basketball, same thing. We see guys shuffle in the last 30 seconds of a game, shuffle a guy in who's going to be good on D. Ball goes out of bounds, bring him out, put in the offensive shooter. There you go. This is the way sports are. Why is it that baseball can't be? Listen, how many games, and I'm just a generic question, no right or wrong answer, but I know it's happened to you, and you probably don't even know how many times, but how many times you've been sitting in a ballpark, you're at the bottom of the ninth, and you've got the bottom of the lineup coming up. You've got the bottom of the lineup coming up, and you just can't sub them all, but you've got the bottom, and you think, oh my gosh, this is not going to be good. And this is the way it works out. Why not let baseball teams have a little excitement and do it once a game, you said? I think that's a good rule. I think this would help baseball, and I think it would give everybody a chance to be able to be into games, into the last innings or so, whenever
you're right. You're correct. I do think here's where I think it comes down to it. Like, it does change the strategy of the game quite a bit late game. Like the way you utilize a bullpen to navigate different parts of the lineups and those kinds of things. But there are also probably, like, if I'm a manager and I've got it's the third inning and I've got the bases loaded with nobody out and my 9-hole hitter coming up, is that the point you want to use it so you don't lose it, basically? Because you're going to want to use it, right? You don't want to just hold on to it if you would if you're winning. So there would be interesting strategy to it. I would say that I'm with you. I don't think there's any question it would keep people locked into a game for longer. It would prevent you from just assuming a game is over till it's over. That part of it makes a lot of sense. And so what I try to do is think back, because it's easy to get like old man, get off my lawn with this, don't mess with my game. But again, all the shift restricting, the pitch clock, all of these changes that baseball has enacted have made the game better. They've at least made them right. They've at least made them better to consume for the general masses. And I'm sorry to all the purists out there, you don't matter in these discussions. You're going to be there no matter what. Baseball's not trying to persuade you. And if you leave, there's not enough of you for it to matter anyway. I'm just being honest. As somebody who loves baseball, that's the reality of the situation here.
So you're for it.
Well, no, not necessarily. Not necessarily. But I don't hate it. And I get it. And I try to think of it like this. What do you think the initial, you may remember this, Paul, what do you think the initial reaction to the idea of a 3-point line in the NBA would have been?
Well, we all thought it was crazy to start with, and yet now
you're literally changing the game when you implement something like that.
The whole game changed, and I guess one could say for the better, because what it did was it allowed teams of lesser abilities to be able to shoot the three, and it changed games. It made them more competitive.
Or lesser height, right?
Or lesser height. That's right, lesser height. Yeah, so it changed the game for the good, in my opinion.
It did, and I try to think of like seismic rule changes where it's like that would have really changed the game, because I think about it now, right? There's a 3-point line. Well, what if they backed it up, Paul, and made a 4-point line? What do you think? How do you think people would react to that? They'd be like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. That you literally did it with the 3-point line. They just made that up. They were like, all right, well, let's draw a line out here, and if you shoot behind it, you get 3 points.
It would make the end of some games a little more interesting, wouldn't it? I mean, a 4-point game.
Of course,
30 seconds.
Again, I'm not
make it
advocating that they do it. I'm just saying, like, you can't be afraid of change, because sometimes change makes things better. It has in baseball the last 3-4 years, like the pitch clock, the shifts, the bases, like all the things that have invited more activity in a baseball game have made it monumentally better. I mean, not even close. Does that mean they're all going to work or be right? No. The NFL is the best at this. The NFL is the best at changing its rules all the time. All the time. The NFL changes its rules every year. And we don't like in some of the things like replay and like some of the things they've been at the forefront of that people maybe thought they would have been crazy. Like that's why the NFL is king. They're always changing the rules to benefit the fans, right? Not anybody else, the fans. Right. They want the fan experience the best. And so that's why I'm not going to say, yeah, I think that's a bad idea. Honestly, I wish they would try it in minor league baseball, see how much, and then talk to see how much it actually impacts the strategy. I might be talking myself into it because I love baseball and I want to see it thrive and succeed. And I just imagine scenarios. Am I more interested in a game where the Royals are down 2 and a runner gets on and they can say, you know what? Let's go to Bobby Witt Jr. here. Bring him out of the bullpen, basically. I'm going to tell you I'd be lying to you if I said I don't think that would be more interesting. And I would be angry if it got used against me and my team lost because of it. But, man, you'd be jacked up. And it's going to mess with stats, Paul. You're a history guy. It would mess with stats. It would mess with so many things. But it would make a game more exciting to watch late. Boy. So I'm not for or against it. I'm intrigued by it. How about that?
I like it.
We'll put it right there. All right. When we come back, we're going to get connected with Kevin Saal, Wichita State's athletic director. Max will get that connection. We'll bring that back for you. A lot of interesting things to talk about with Kevin. We got volleyball beginning the NCAA tournament this weekend. We got basketball coming back home. We've got this letter he sent to fans about the financial situation for Wichita State. A lot to cover with Kevin Saal. We'll do it next when we return on Sports Daily. Don't go away.
In Odyssey's sports station, this is 97.5 and 1240 KFH, KNSS HD2 Clearwater, Wichita's most listened to sports radio.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch, 12 News is everywhere, bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSPW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
831001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrecht and Tommy Kester.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. We are back with you, and joining us now, Kevin Saal on the program, as we'll get Paul back in just a minute. Glad to have you on the video, Kevin. Happy Wednesday to you. How are you?
Doing great. Jacob, how are you? Can you
We're
hear
good.
me okay?
Yeah, we're good. We're
Awesome.
just rocking and rolling in a midweek edition. I know you guys are feeling good because you got NCAA volleyball coming up here. Real quick, let's start there because shout out to Coach Lamb's crew. They win the big tournament this weekend, and now they're on to the NCAA tournament. How exciting has that been around campus to have them back in the tournament for the first time in a while?
Yeah, first time since 17, and what a unique journey. First off, it feels great. Just congratulations to the young ladies who did all the work and our coaches and staff who've it was an up and down year. You know, we played 6 receiving votes or ranked opponents early on in the non-conference, went 0-6. Kind of vacillated between 2nd and 4th throughout the year in terms of the American standings, finished 4th. Had a tough last week. We had some adversity, individual and collective adversity, that was really significant for some of our student athletes. And the last week, I think volleyball was one of the last things on their mind, as rightfully so, with what was going on. Had some tragedies and some really difficult things to work through. And the result was that last week we lost to the 11th and 12th best teams in our league. And then they reset themselves very nicely, had a couple of team meetings, and really got some things off their chests and kind of healed together as a group. And they went through and they swept the postseason. They swept the 5 Tulsa. They swept the 1 in South Florida. And then they swept what would have been the 6. And just a really phenomenal run. And Jacob, if you think about it, last year going into the NIVC, they swept every match in the NIVC last year and did not lose a set. So there's something about this group in postseason volleyball where it becomes really interesting. We're blessed to have them in the NCAA tournament. First time since 17-18. That's Director's Cup points for national standings with our department, certainly things that we strive to do, but they won our 9th American Athletic Conference championship since joining the league, and they're second and could not be more pleased.
Yeah, and I remember going back to the postseason last year, you know, maybe foreseeing some of this. So the details for everybody, they'll play Thursday at 7:00. SMU, what do we like? What have you heard about the chances to advance in this thing? Kind of all bets are off. But I got to say, like, you know, with the momentum of a conference tournament, it has to give you, you know, some confidence to get in there and take a swing at a team like that.
Yeah, and it's a familiar foe. As you know, SMU is in our league for a number of years, and this is their first year in the Atlantic Coast Conference, and they did remarkably well, got the 2 seed in that 16 team bracket, that quadrant there, and they will be a formidable opponent. They're very tall, which makes them long. They block well, they pass well, and we will really need to be on our game. We'll need to pass incredibly well. So I had a chance to connect with our volleyball staff. They certainly feel good about the matchup. It's a familiar opponent, and so they know a little bit about what SMU likes to do. You might remember Natalie Foster on our team last year as a grad transfer. She's on that SMU club. So I think the girls are looking forward to, the young women in our program are looking forward to seeing Natalie. But familiar place, familiar opponent. So take that for what it's worth. I think they're primed and ready to go. We look forward to Thursday night.
Let's real quick talk a little basketball, Kevin. I don't know what to make of the Florida game. Coach Mills yesterday in his weekly availability kind of said it's on him not to worry too much about November. November's for learning. I think that's what I took from it, honestly. Even before hearing that, it's just kind of like, okay, whatever. It'll be a good thing for the team if they handle it the right way. There's no doubt about that. But how have you seen them handle a tough loss like that after such a great start to the year?
Yeah, I think you got to set some global context first, right? So if we're looking at the schedule when it comes out mid to late October, Jacob, And Paul, if you're saying, hey, 6-1 in November, yeah, okay, all right. Obviously, we want to be 7-0. Everybody wants to win every game, and so I think if you look at it big picture, certainly headed in the right direction. Very, very close, competitive game against Minnesota. I think what gets overlooked a little bit is Garcia, the 6'10", number 3 for Minnesota, what came in as I think the 6th placing preseason player of the year. He got 6th on that list preseason. He's a really good player, and he was hitting three-pointers at a 56% clip. He was scoring 23 points per game up to that point, and they held him to 4 points. They did a really nice job of neutralizing a really good player in Minnesota, and we know the result of that. Really, really close game. It was set up to be a possession-type game. Whether you looked at Ken Palm, whether you looked at ESPN predictive analytics, it was going to be a one-possession type game, and we came out on the right side of that. We knew Florida would be very, very talented, very physical, and I think, and Coach explained it yesterday, and I like his transparency. I like the vulnerability of talking about, okay, we're down 21-13. We are not competing with their physicality right now, and we've got to do something different with our lineup. And so you get a Quincy and Mate combination going in there, and we go from 21-13 up to 21-18, I believe, at that point. Xavier had hit one of his threes. And then we went 14 straight possessions without scoring. And if you were to watch that stretch, you got guards doing what they do, which is putting pressure on the rim. But only this time you've got Mate and Q in the lane with their defenders in the lane. So it becomes much more difficult to put pressure on the rim, particularly if you're not hitting from the outside. And so, Paul he's always going to look in here first, as I think is a good lesson for all of us. And our players have as well, a little bit more on that in a minute. But he said, look, it's probably in hindsight wasn't the best time to experiment. But at the end of the day, it is a ceiling type game. This is a barometer type game where your weaknesses are going to be displayed. And now it's an opportunity for us to learn, to grow, and get better. And we'll have a great opportunity tonight against Alcorn State. I don't want to look past that. Saturday against ETSU, they're a number 9 in the country offensive rebounding team. So that's going to be another physical test, and we'll see what that looks like. But last point I guess I would make is I had an opportunity to talk with a couple of the men's players at the women's game against Prairie View A&M the other night. And by the way, they did a phenomenal job. Terry's making some adjustments and doing some different things, experimenting different things, and it's working well. Anyway, I talked with a couple of guys, and you could tell there was a little bit of we got a good group, and they really enjoy being around each other. You could tell there was a little bit of an edge in the communication. And I asked one of them, I said, hey man, are you doing all right? Just working your way through it. And they watched every play of the Florida game to look at every possession and analyze it. And he goes, yeah, we're just ready to get back on the floor. And so I think they're ready to get kind of a chip off their shoulder a little bit and compete tonight. So again, I don't look at it as doom and gloom and a disaster. It's certainly a game where you're going to learn, and Florida certainly looks like a team that's going to be playing in the second weekend of the NCAA tournament, particularly if they hit 14 three-pointers a game.
Yeah, Florida's good. There's no question about top 20 team. Obviously, they're good. 5 games left, Coach, in the preseason before you get to conference play, plus 1 exhibition. You got K-State in the mix. You got DePaul. By the way, DePaul, nobody's going to look past DePaul. They're undefeated as we speak. That is a really good basketball team with some nice wins. But you got 5 games basically left, and then the exhibition. What's the 1 or 2 things that you think Coach Mills is going to be? What does he need to improve in order to make a nice run in the ACC?
In the AAC, in the American Athletic Conference, yeah. So I think no, you're good. I think that the Florida game is going to teach you some lessons in terms of matching the physical nature of your opponent and answering that call and answering that challenge. We will see that challenge again against ETSU, as I mentioned, and we look forward to good performance tonight. I think is just continuing to learn, right? We talk all the time about just go 1-0 today, just get better today. And so learning those lessons, I think, is really important. If we can learn the lessons from Florida, then that will position us well against teams like DePaul, against teams like Kansas State and Memphis and North Texas and Florida Atlantic and all those. If you look at the schedule, I don't know if you guys noticed, this week the NCAA came out with their net rankings. Was really the first week. They roll those out December 1st. And as it stands right now, and you guys know these shift throughout the year, but we've got 4 quad 1 opponents, 4 quad 2 opponents, 8 quad 3 opponents, and then you've got 14 quad 4s. But those will change once you get into conference play. The nets will increase and teams will shift. But we've got 8 quality opportunities against quad 1s and 2s to go out there and prove ourselves. And K-States will continue. They're currently a quad 3, will continue to work their way up to a quad 2 and maybe a quad 1 if they play well in their league play. So it's a really long answer, Paul, but at the end of the day, we just got to keep learning lessons that the life and the games are bringing us. We're 6-1. It's certainly not a bad spot to be. And now we got to start chipping away and stacking wins in December.
And they got to learn how to win without Ronnie DeGray. Obviously, when we talk about physical stuff, his loss will be big. So when we look at the American, Wichita State now, whether it's the net rankings or the Ken Palm, everybody has them third right now. North Texas, Memphis up there. I think that's a good sign, Kevin. Are you feeling that momentum? Are you feeling that in the fan base? I guess that optimism at this point, or are we still working on that and it's going to take a few more wins to get everybody fired up?
We're going to continue to have to prove ourselves. As you guys know, this program's gone through a lot of adversity in the last 5 years, and we are going to continue to have to prove ourselves. I would hope that the moderate middle ground perspective, understanding and respecting that there are some extreme perspectives out there, but that the moderate middle ground perspective would be able to look at this and say, hey, we're headed in the right direction, that we've got some positive signs and we're moving forward in a positive direction. I think what was a challenge maybe about this weekend is a lot of folks on Thanksgiving, ESPN2 for an 11 a.m. tip. Everybody's getting their turkey and ham ready and the Shockers are on and they win the exciting overtime game. And Paul Solentrop put it really well yesterday. He said, man, I had so many of my friends and folks in the community that were so excited after the Minnesota game, and they were invested emotionally. And then we followed up with the Florida performance, and it probably stung a little bit more. And so, again, that vacillates back and forth. At the end of the day, we got to look at the big picture and understand we're headed in the right direction. We're going to continue to learn and get better, and we look forward to December, but most importantly to Alcorn State tonight.
Yeah, and that's a home game tonight. So let's go right into the letter you sent out to the fans. We had touched on this a little while ago, but you sort of put pen to paper and sent it out to the fan base about where this entire college landscape is headed and what it means specifically to Wichita State. The number you've used is $7 million as an increase to what needs to come in. So as we look at everything, and I know you've been supportive of the players being a bigger piece and being a part of what makes college athletics go and the compensation and all these things. How realistic is this? Not just for you guys, but for everybody. You put it out there, I think probably partly as a challenge, but how realistic is this new model for college athletics?
Yeah, I think industry-wide, it certainly has its challenges, and each institution is going to make its decisions about opting in or opting out. But at the end of the day, guys, to try and simplify this and provide some clarity, what choice do you have if you want to recruit and retain elite level talent?
Totally.
Right? Because you're going to absolutely get killed in recruiting. If you're not opted in, if you're not it's no choice. You're going to have to do the retroactive NIL to increase your scholarship maximums, participate in revenue sharing. We don't have an option. Wichita State many, many years ago decided that we were going to have a competitive Division I program. And so that's the price tag in this new environment for us. And it will be a challenge. But at the same time, if you were to rewind back to June of 22, we had $0 in our NIL account, $0. And year one, we were able to, through some really, really generous folks, we were able to educate quickly, get about $350,000 for that first year. 23, 24. And so to have expanded that north of 7 figures now, we're showing some progress in terms of people buying in and being educated about NIL, and it's the way of the world. So as we transition into this revenue share component, really the only difference is the collectives go away, and the institution now will have the opportunity to collect funds, which it has always done, right, guys? We've always done philanthropic gifts. We've always done seat donations. We've always done ticket sales. We'll have the opportunity to take those funds and then allocate them through a revenue distribution model, which still has a little bit of lack of clarity in terms of what that will look like. But we have aspirations to continually to position our programs in a spot to win championships, which means that 7-figure number is going to have to increase for us to be competitive to both recruit and retain. And so working very, very closely with campus, our president's office, our donors, for folks to understand that this is the cost of doing business if we want a competitive Division I athletics program, which we all want. Wichita deserves it.
Yep.
Our university has committed to that. And so from our perspective, we don't have any choice but to go full speed ahead.
And so I would ask just real quick, but so that's not football. And I guess my curiosity comes on both sides of that sword. Do you think there are going to be programs that are obviously there are going to be programs that are boosted by football, but it feels like if these are the price tags without football, the price tags with football seem unattainable when you think around the country a little bit to what that's going to take. I don't know. Like at some point, like is Wichita State better positioned to be great at what it can control without the financial burden of football?
Absolutely. And I'll share with you as you dive into the particulars, and I hope you guys know we're transparent. We're not trying to hide anything at all. We've got a scholarship bill currently of about $5 million, just short of $5 million. If we were to go all in on the roster maximums, which we're going to find a right size solution for that, we can't afford to go all in. If we were to go all in, that would double our scholarship bill from just short of $5 million to barely short of $10 million. Okay. Right? We've got 122 scholarships that we offer for 273 student athletes. Now, expand that to a K-State or KU that's got 500 student athletes, and they're offering 260, 270 scholarships. So what is our $7 million number for retroactive NIL, for roster maximums, for revenue sharing is more like a $15 to $20 million bill for a Division I football program. And I think we're positioned in a unique spot, guys, because the American Athletic Conference is committed to us. We're committed to them. And I think we have an opportunity to invest in our 2 basketballs, our baseball, our softball, and our volleyball. Those are the 5 sports that generate revenue, right? They don't make more than they spend. There's really only one program that does that for us in basketball. But we've got an opportunity to pour into those sports like our peers in the American may not be able to, because they're going to be dumping everything they can into football and men's basketball. Really important point to note that the House settlement, the settlement administrators have currently drafted a distribution plan on the retroactive NIL that is 75% of those funds going to football student athletes, 15% of those funds going to men's basketball student athletes, right? 5% of those going to women's basketball student athletes, and 5% of those going to other student athletes. So it's really important to understand that 90% of retroactive NIL in the House settlement is set up to go to men's basketball and football. And so we will have an opportunity through revenue share to far exceed that for our men's basketball program, our women's basketball program, baseball, softball, volleyball. Will outperform our peers in that way.
That's really, I mean, that's fascinating. And we've always thought that, like from the very beginning, when all of this came to light and we were thinking about this, the light bulbs were going off. Like, so Wichita State, to me, as an outsider who moved here about a decade ago, has always felt like this city's pro team, right? You have your K-State people, you have your KU people, but man, when Shocker basketball is good and it's the winter time, everybody wants to go see a great basketball game and kind of follow along a little bit. It does seem like Wichita State can be uniquely positioned to be really good at basketball with the donor base we know has been there in the past. We know they've made coaches among the highest paid in the country. Like, all of those things still exist without football to take the resources.
Yeah, there's no question. And so that's why we are highly motivated in this time, right? You hear a lot of entrepreneurs say there's opportunity and chaos. And I refuse to submit to the fact that our industry is in chaos because I don't operate in chaos. We're going to try and be collective and methodical and thoughtful in terms of what we're doing. But we do have an opportunity to really launch forward. You guys understand how you build programs. That's done slowly over time as you surpass peers and historical leaders in your leagues and regionally and all those things. We have an opportunity with this House settlement to leapfrog some of our peers just based solely on what we wanted to invest revenue share wise in men's and women's basketball, in baseball, softball, volleyball, sports like that we can launch our programs forward.
I've got a unique question for you, and I don't know if you actually know the answer, but I'm going to ask this question because it means something for me to understand the situation we find ourselves with in the world of NIL. If I'm at the University of Texas and I'm being recruited by the University of Texas for football or basketball, I kind of got a feeling that I kind of know generally what I'm going to be making, how much I'm going to be making, what my potential will be in the world of NIL. I already know I'm pretty good. They wouldn't be talking to me. But for a school like Wichita State, you pick up the phone, you call a recruit for the first time. You say, "Hi, I'm Coach such and such from Wichita State. I want to talk to you about coming here and playing this sport." How long does it generally take for the conversation to get over to NIL? Is it like a first 2-minute type deal? Is it a first 30-minute deal? Is it maybe the second phone call? How long in reality does it take for a school like Wichita State before NIL actually comes up?
Yeah, that's a great question, Paul. And I don't think there's a broad-based answer that fits everybody into one model or answer. I will tell you this, that student athletes and prospective student athletes see value, right? They all have their own value assessment. And part of the value is going to be NIL, or what will be revenue share here soon. Part of the value is going to be the coaching staff, their development. What has the coaching staff historically done? They're going to want to hear how they fit in the system. They might want to hear about playing time. How are you going to develop me? What does this look like? What pieces are you going to put around us? All those things have existed for a very, very long time. My point in saying is there's probably 12 to 15 different values that student athletes might look at when they're assessing their programs. I can tell you two things specific to your question. Number one, if that's one of the first questions that's being asked by a prospective student athlete, an agent, or an advisor for a prospective student athlete, we're moving on. You've heard Paul say that before. And our coaching staff believes that if you are strictly about the NIL piece, and that is your number one value in your level of values, then you're interested in a transactional relationship, and we're not. I don't think you win championships with transactional relationships, and neither does Paul. We're into a relational component, which is really more about retention. And so we try to approach recruiting not just in 1-year increments, but in multiple year increments when we're having those conversations, so that we can kind of lay out a pathway for development. But at the end of the day, Paul, I'm very encouraged because we have young men in our program that are here for less NIL that they probably could have gotten somewhere else. And we know that to be the case. And so they're seeing value in something else. I can guess what they're seeing value in. Paul and his staff have done a remarkable job in developing talent at Baylor, at Oral Roberts, and here. They've placed young men in professional opportunities, whether it's in the NBA or Europe. They're valued in the program. They're treated very well. They're well respected. There's great relational components going on in our program, and the guys feel like they're being developed. So I think there's value in those components. And when you're talking to the right student athletes and the right families and the right agents and advisors who understand that they're playing for long money and not necessarily for short money, go back and look at Max A. Smith at Oral Roberts. He kept an All-American, a 2-time All-American for 3 years at Oral Roberts on minimal to very little NIL, right? And then he graduates his last year, he goes to Texas. Max saw value in what was going on within the program in Oral Roberts, and that's one of the many reasons why we were so intrigued with Paul in the search process. Is he brings a different kind of value measurement. So, Paul, again, really long answer to your question, but we move on if that's going to be the very first question. Now, at the end of the day, it does come up, and then we've got to be prepared with where we see it. Right. There's value in when you go recruiting. Are you getting an older player that has experience and is skilled? What are you investing in a younger player that may not help you year one? That's probably going to help you years 2, 3, and 4. And those are all decisions that each program makes.
And not everybody just chases the most money. It's a misconception. Not everybody chases the most money in life. That's for sure.
And here's the other misconception, guys. We've got a guy like Harlan Beverly who basically gifted his scholarship to another individual. We've got a young man on our team that has used 100% of his NIL money to pay for his dad's needed medications. And so those are the stories that don't necessarily hit the mainstream. That allow us to do some unique things that we haven't in the past. And we've got young people that are using it the right way.
By the way, Harlan Beverly is my hero. The sacrifice he made is unbelievable. And that makes him my hero. You could tell him that he's got a hero that really likes him on this radio show because I love the kid. That's an amazing story.
Yeah, and much credit to the Wichita community, Paul, because after that story came out, we had half a dozen phone calls from folks that were interested and say, hey, what's going to cost for us to cover the scholarship? And so those are the types of things that I think you build community around. And Harlan's a really special young man. I enjoy being around him.
And that community is here, and we know that. That's why this is all so interesting to us. It does seem like an opportunity to thrive. Kevin, we're late here. We appreciate it. We'll continue always to talk about this stuff. We appreciate your insight on it. Shockers play Alcorn State tonight. Tickets available still for that one, I assume?
Yes, they are. You can come, walk up, be great weather, or you can call 316-978-FANS, FANS, to get your tickets for tonight. It'll be a good show.
And you can hear the game tonight right here on your home of Shocker Athletics, KFH. Kevin, we'll do it again in a couple of weeks. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, guys. Go Shockers.
There goes Kevin Saal. We are going to take a break. When we return, our KU Insider Shreyas Laddha hops on as we're guest heavy here in the second hour. Loving it. We'll be right back after this.
.97.5 and 1240 KFH.
It's cold outside, but spring mowing season will be here soon.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch, 12 News is everywhere, bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSPW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Welcome back in, everybody, here to Sports Daily. We are joined by Shreyas Laddha here. Shreyas, I believe we have your audio now. Can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we got you. All right. So, Shreyas, I'm going to ask you, we're going to just jump right into this here. Our KU Insider, beat writer for the Kansas City Star. You can follow him on social media, on X. Shreyas, is Jalen Daniels going to be playing for KU next year?
That is such a fun initial question to ask me, not gonna lie. I really think it depends on who they bring back in the portal. I know they're trying to do, from what I've heard, what they can to bring him back, but I think logistically and logically, if you think about it, if his goal is to play in the NFL, I just think there's some better opportunities out there for him. This team's gonna be rebuilding. His guys who have been there, wide receiver wise and tight end, and even some of the offensive line are not going to be there. And the defense has to reload. And obviously, Kansas got 15 official high school recruits, but these guys are not going to be ready to play next year. It's going to be an interesting kind of wait and see with him. I wouldn't be surprised either way, but I think if you were just supposed to look at what he wants to do long term, if you really think about it, I'm not sure playing at Kansas next year, unless they reload it with a lot of really good wide receivers, makes a ton of sense.
Gerardo, when you look at the University of Kansas, we talked about earlier in the month, or about a month ago before this streak started, the chance to be a legend. I mean, you win those straight games, 4 straight games, you get to a bowl, you get bowl eligible. A legend will have been born. how close to the legend is this team going to be? This because I'm going to look back on this team personally, and I'm going to think you guys did something really special, beating 3 straight ranked teams to finish up at a point where you could go to a bowl game and then lose against Baylor. I mean, that's pretty darn special anyway, don't you think?
I don't think so personally. I mean, this team was supposed to contend for a Big 12 title. Who cares?
Okay.
Who cares?
All right. Well said. Well said, my friend.
I mean, everyone's going to be wondering what if about this team. I think I'm going to be wondering what if until I die. I look, they were 1-5 in one-score games. They had multiple opportunities to turn the season around. They never really figured out besides a 3-game win streak. They should have been in a position in the first place to begin with where they had to win 4 straight to make a bowl game. And it wasn't even competitive against Baylor. They lost by like double digits. It was like 45-17, I think was the final score. It was never close after KU's initial lead. I think whatever we want to say about this Kansas football team, with how great some of the players are, Devin Neal, those guys are legends forever. I think they're going to be forever wondering what could have been about this season. And it feels like another repeat of 2009, I think, for a lot of Kansas fans.
Does it derail? I was just up there for the basketball game this weekend, and we were right there across from that new stadium. Do you think any of this, because that's the bigger concern here, all the momentum that had been created for the prior 2 years, does this derail it at all, do you think, or is this just sort of a blip on the radar?
I don't think it derails it. But next year's going to be really important. It's weird because I don't want to sit there and say, like what they can, they did last year this year should have that much matter. Like, obviously you hope they were better than they were this year, but next year's going to be a rebuilding year. I don't know how good they're going to be. You're going to have to really trust a lot of transfer talent. There's a lot of question marks with 15 seniors leaving or 15 starters leaving and 30 plus seniors leaving. I think Kansas fans have to realize it's not like progression isn't linear. I think that's something I have, kind of realized sometimes too. And like how they play next year, if they can make a bowl game, that'd be a great thing just because there's so many holes for this incoming team. But I think just being back at home is going to help them in the long run. I mean, they played a really tough schedule, I think, this year. Everyone thought it was going to be easy. It didn't turn out to be that way. And, credit to them for getting the ranked wins they did. And they showed the flashes, but they never really put it together all year.
I know Jacob wants to get to basketball. Can I just ask one real quick question with regards to recruiting? How is recruiting going? Is there any splashback with regards to the lack of success with this team when it comes to recruiting? How's that looking with regards to where they're targeting players, who they're targeting, the positions they're targeting? How's that setting up this season in helps or hindrance in recruiting?
Yeah, I don't think it's been bad. I think, they've picked up the high school guys they got for the most part. Not a ton of people really flipped. But, they obviously had 15 guys that signed by 9:30 a.m. this morning, which is a big deal. And they also have done a tremendous job of locking up the potential quarterback of the future, and David McComb, who's a 3-star but rated 88. He could be higher than that. I've heard really great things about him. They got Aiden Holloway, who's an edge rusher, who's going to be pretty good, I think. And they got a lot of other guys, like a couple wide receivers, stuff like that, talent that they needed to get. And overall, I don't think this season had as much of an impact one way or the other on high school recruiting, at least.
So as we do switch to basketball, and we'll see, it's signing day today. We'll see if there's any drama. I don't think there's supposed to be any drama for Kansas, not that I've heard of. Shreyas Laddha joining us, our KU Insider beat reporter for the KC Star for KU basketball and football. Let's go to basketball. I was at the Furman game, took the family, first time the rest of the family had been to a game at Allen Fieldhouse. And early in the game, my wife was getting so annoyed that Furman kept hitting those threes. It kind of deflated the arena. KU didn't need to retaliate with any threes really in the game. And I thought about what you're always telling us about, the need, as far as analytics to shoot a few more threes. But that was the perfect example of a game where they they could have not shot any threes and they would have been just fine. Are you okay with that? Or do you want this? I don't want to say force it. We'll call it design it. Would you like to see them taking a higher volume of threes by design, or are you okay with them not doing it when they don't need to, I guess?
I think the volume, I looked back on it, wasn't terrible. I obviously you'd like to see
It
them
felt
make
terrible, though. Like, I did the same thing, but it felt like they weren't taking any, and they did in the second half, but there for a while, I was like, I don't know if they shot any threes. It was like Zeke may have forced one up, and then that was it.
Yeah, they really could have been better. I think they didn't make a single three in the first half. I think they went 0 of 6 or 0 of 8. I wrote about it. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays on the long run. I've said it before. I think the three thing is a big deal for them against quality competition. Furman is a good team. They aren't Duke, though. They aren't Michigan State. They aren't Creighton. They aren't potential tournament teams. Maybe Furman can make the tournament. They could, but I don't think they're going to be somebody that KU faces in a deep run. My 3-point shooting thing isn't just so much taking threes, but they need to make more threes. I think they haven't really figured that capacity out. Bill Self wants them to shoot around 40%. They're not anywhere near that. I think they're at 36% through the year so far, 36.4, something around that. That's a good mark, an improvement over last year, but I think there are going to be days where their offense goes cold and you're going to have to hit some threes. And, maybe it doesn't show up right now, but it's going to show up in conference play, and it's certainly going to show up in March, I think. But KU's offense is so good that I think it's been able to mitigate its kind of streaky 3-point shooting.
Kansas is ranked 9th in the nation in the NAT and first among the Big 12 schools. What do you make of that? Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think they're probably going to be like as close to, if not winning the Big 12 championship, conference or whatever. I think they're going to be a 1 seed come tournament tide. I think it'll be really interesting to see, how the season progresses. I think I wrote about it today, but they can still get more out of the transfers than they've gotten. They can get more out of AJ Storr and Rylan Griffin. Self has said it, I said it, all that.
Yeah, I get it. Tell me why. Tell me why tonight KU's playing Creighton. Why is KU only a 4-point favorite over Creighton? Shreyas, like what's going on here?
Creighton's a pretty good team. I think the 3-point shooting hasn't been great for them, but they have capable shooters. They have Ryan Kalkbrenner, who's disgustingly good around the basket. I think he's shooting 95% to start the year, which is crazy on layups or on the rim. They have a strong defensive team, and I think people are just expecting a letdown. For Kansas, like there should be a letdown somewhere, but
it's a true roadie, I guess.
Yeah, it's a true roadie. Creighton's a tough arena to play in. It'll be a fun matchup. I wouldn't be surprised if Kansas lost, but I think Kansas has a better offense than Creighton does, and I think their defense is really stout too. They're top 10 in both metrics, in adjusted defensive and offensive efficiency according to Ken Pom. And that to me is usually a telltale sign of a team that's going to make a good and deep run into NCAA tournaments. So they could lose this game, but I think, as long as they don't lose focus and they hit a couple of threes, it should be enough for them to beat Creighton. I think Rob Kalkbrenner is going to have if he plays, he's going to have an interesting day because he's a monster. I mean, defensive player of the year in the Big East 3 times, 3 years straight. And, he's having a great offensive year as well.
It's been a couple of weeks since I've asked. In fact, I may not have asked about basketball. I've always asked you about football a little bit, but now that we're edging closer to Big 12 play, is there anything in the preseason that you've seen so far? Is there anybody in this league that you think to yourself, well, this is a team that can make a run at the University of Kansas for a Big 12 championship? Would it be Cincinnati? Would it be somebody like that? Who, in your opinion, is going to make a run? Give me a couple, 2 or 3 teams if you think there's 2 or 3 teams that are going to make a run at KU for a Big 12 championship.
Yeah, I always think Iowa State's a great team. They're always in the hunt. It feels like no matter what happens in conference or non-conference play, I feel like they're always such a dangerous team, and KU tends to lose to them at Ames. Houston's had kind of a weird start to the season where they've lost a couple of games I think that they maybe should have lost, but I wouldn't count them out either. I think those two teams are probably the better end of this thing. Cincinnati's not bad. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with K-State. I think K-State is worse than expected. I don't expect them to be contending for a Big 12 title anyways, but they haven't looked great at all. But, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. They play Wichita State. We're pretty intrigued by that one. All right, Shreyas. Well, we appreciate it. We'll look for your work on the game tonight. Follow Shreyas along during the game at SHRE98 on X. You can also find his work at the KC Star, wherever you get the KC Star. Shreyas, we appreciate it. We'll do it again next week.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
There goes Shreyas Laddha. Glad to have him on board with us here on the program on this Wednesday. We are up against it again, Paul. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. Quick segment next on Sports Daily.
$97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch, 12 News is everywhere. Bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSPW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Massive breaking news as we're right up against a break. Lincoln Cure has kept his commitment to K-State, Paul. He did not flip to Oregon. Admitted that he was thinking about it. He did not. This is a massive win for the Wildcats to be able to keep him, one of the top-rated tight ends in the country. He's going to Manhattan. Big time decision for K-State. We are up against a break. We'll have much more on this tomorrow, including our K-State insider, Tim Fitzgerald. We do have to take our final break. We'll come back. We'll tell you how you can hear what's on the air tonight. Next.
Use a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you...
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch, 12 News is everywhere, bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSCW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems
Why are they hiding it?
and real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, we got a crazy fun night coming up for you. Glad to be able to bring you Shocker Athletics tonight. You've got Wichita State taking on Alcorn State. That's over on KEYN, as it always is. 5:30 pregame coverage begins. Right here on KFH, you'll have the Chiefs Kingdom show from 6 to 7. Don't forget, again, breaking news, Lincoln Cure, one of the nation's top recruits, sticking with K-State. We'll have more on that with Tim Fitzgerald tomorrow. Paul, happy Hawaiian Shirt Wednesday to you. We'll be back here tomorrow. Glad to be with you. Brandon Zinner. TJ Cleveland in tomorrow. Brandon will be in on Friday. So we'll be having some fun the rest of the week. We'll see you tomorrow.